On February 14 at 9:42 a.m., D4vd is officially labeled a grand jury target in a federal probe, one phrase that flips his career overnight. Within 27 minutes, his name trends in 12 states. The paperwork surfaces fast. The meaning hits harder. By 10:11 a.m., streaming spikes 38% while legal analysts dissect that single word, target. Not witness. Not subject. Target. It signals prosecutors believe a crime occurred and they think they know who did it. But that's not even the worst part. At 11:26 a.m., a letter reportedly circulates, formal, blunt, unmistakable. It outlines potential charges under federal statute codes that carry years, not months. His team stays silent. No denial. No statement. Just quiet. But that's not even the worst part. Here's the contradiction. A target label often comes after months of investigation, yet insiders say subpoenas intensified just days ago. So which is it, long build or sudden escalation? The timeline doesn't align. And that gap changes everything. Everyone assumes indictment is automatic once you're called a target. It's not. Some cases collapse before charges ever land. Others move with brutal speed. So why does this one feel different already? There's one detail nobody is saying out loud. Stay with this. By the end, you'll know exactly what target legally means, what usually happens next, and why timing matters more than headlines. And here's the first clue: prosecutors rarely use that word lightly. In federal terms, a target is someone prosecutors believe committed a crime and could be indicted. That belief is backed by evidence presented to a grand jury in secret. Secret rooms. Closed transcripts. No cameras. A subject, by contrast, is murkier, someone under scrutiny but not directly accused. A witness simply provides information. The jump from subject to target is seismic. Careers survive one. They rarely survive the other. Grand juries don't decide guilt. They decide whether there's probable cause to charge. And here's the number that matters: federal grand juries indict in over 95% of cases presented. Once you're in that room, odds tighten fast. Stop. Rewind that. 95%. That's not a coin flip, that's a loaded dice. But numbers alone don't seal fate. Strategy does. And D4vd's next move could determine whether this escalates or evaporates. Typically, after a target letter, attorneys request a proffer session. That's a controlled meeting where information is offered in exchange for potential leniency. It's delicate. One misstep can lock in charges instead of avoid them. Sometimes, targets testify before the grand jury to sway perception. Risky. High stakes. One inconsistent statement under oath becomes ammunition. And prosecutors remember every word. Especially when transcripts surface later. Meanwhile, reputational fallout moves faster than legal paperwork. By 3:03 p.m., fan forums fracture. Brand partners pause posts. Silence grows louder than statements. Public opinion doesn't wait for indictments. It decides instantly. But here's the twist: being a target does not mean charges are filed tomorrow. Some investigations stretch for months after that label. Others flip overnight. So what signals which direction this goes? There's a pattern. White medium star viral moment in federal court: prosecutors almost never send a target letter unless they're ready to indict or hoping you panic first. That single sentence reframes everything you think this means. If D4vd's team cooperates, timeline slow. If they resist, prosecutors accelerate. Subpoenas widen. Phone records expand. Financial trails deepen. And once digital evidence enters, the story stops being rumor and starts being math. Federal cases build quietly. Agents stack documents in banker boxes. Emails. Contracts. Metadata stamps down to the second. It's not dramatic in the beginning. It's meticulous. And meticulous cases are hard to dismantle. Indictment, if it comes, is just a formal accusation. Arrest may follow, or voluntary surrender. Court dates lock in. Bail hearings set. And headlines shift from speculation to statute numbers printed in bold. But there's still a narrow off-ramp. Targets sometimes negotiate deferred agreements, sealed deals, or quiet resolutions. They don't make splashy headlines. They make controlled exits. And that possibility still hangs in the balance. Right now, as of this moment, nothing is filed publicly. Just a label. Just a word. Target. That word can dissolve or detonate. And honestly? In his position, every move from here defines the rest of the story. What happens next is everything. February 16, 8:07 a.m. His attorneys file a narrow records request, calling it routine clarification. Small move. Quiet. Controlled. But inside that request is a clue prosecutors didn't expect him to see, and reacting to it could trigger something bigger. The small problem becomes larger fast. That filing confirms investigators are examining financial transfers totaling $2.8 million across 14 days. What looked like a single allegation now spans weeks. And weeks mean pattern. His team responds within hours, drafting a statement, tightening internal communications, limiting access to devices. Damage control. But restricting access raises eyebrows. And eyebrows, in federal investigations, turn into subpoenas. By February 18, 6:42 p.m., a new subpoena expands the scope beyond finances. Now it includes messages. Private ones. Archived ones. The small problem isn't small anymore. And someone outside his circle just found out. Pattern interrupt. Meanwhile, 1,200 miles away, a former collaborator receives their own inquiry letter at 9:13 a.m. They weren't prepared. They weren't briefed. And their response could either protect him or expose everything. The collaborator panics. Calls. Texts. Deletes 3 threads within 11 minutes. Deletion logs, however, don't disappear. They timestamp themselves. And now prosecutors have something they didn't have yesterday. Remember the 95% indictment statistic? Here's what tightens it further: when digital obstruction enters, conviction rates rise sharply. A small defensive act just became potential leverage. And leverage changes negotiations. February 20, 4:18 p.m. His legal team considers a proper session to slow momentum. They draft talking points. They rehearse phrasing. But rehearsed truth sounds different under oath, and prosecutors notice tone shifts. Someone leaks the word cooperation online at 7:52 p.m. Markets react. Sponsors hesitate. Silence from his camp stretches into 36 hours. The cover-up narrative begins forming publicly, even if no cover-up exists. Stop. Here's the number that changes tone, for federal statutes listed internally. Not 1. 4. Each carrying multi-year exposure. What felt like reputation damage now feels like structural risk. And structural risk reshapes strategy overnight. White medium star viral moment: the total financial exposure discussed internally? $2.8 million tied to 14 days, but investigators trace connected accounts pushing it past $9.6 million. The number everyone repeats? It's only the beginning. And that reframes everything. What seemed like isolated transfers now suggests network movement. Networks imply coordination. Coordination implies intent. Intent is the word prosecutors love and defense teams fear. February 23, 10:04 a.m. An internal memo circulates recommending document preservation compliance. That phrase signals one thing: investigators suspect evidence could vanish. The spiral tightens, and someone inside may already be talking. The attempt to control messaging backfires. A revised draft statement leaks before approval. It contains one line referencing misunderstood transfers. That phrasing ignites speculation instead of calming it. And speculation fuels scrutiny. Pattern interrupt. Direct address. You're thinking this is just optics. It isn't. In federal probes, wording becomes evidence of mindset. And mindset shapes charging decisions more than most people realize. One old loop closes here: being a target doesn't guarantee indictment tomorrow. True. But when financial expansion, digital deletions, and multi-statute exposure stack together, tomorrow feels closer than anyone admits. And a date may already be circled. February 25, 2:31 p.m. A second collaborator retains independent counsel. That move signals fear. Independent counsel means diverging interests. Diverging interests fracture unified defense strategies, and fractures leak. The cover-up narrative grows legs. Anonymous posts claim shredding. No proof. But rumor pressures prosecutors to act decisively. Public noise sometimes accelerates private timelines. And acceleration reduces negotiation space. February 27, 6:58 a.m. Grand jury meets again. No cameras. No statements. Just binders placed quietly on polished wood. When meetings cluster this tightly, it usually signals decision phase. And decisions are rarely gentle. Right now, the spiral reaches its steepest point. Small problem became financial network. Defense strategy became exposure. Private caution became public speculation. And the only question left inside that sealed room isn't if, but when. February 28, 9:17 a.m. Inside the federal courthouse, a clerk walks a thin stack of papers down a silent hallway. No cameras. No crowd. Just a stamp lifted slowly into the air, and everything tightens in that half second. The stamp comes down. Ink hits paper. The sound is dull, almost gentle. Indicted. One word. Black letters on white page. In that exact instant, a private investigation becomes public record. And nothing can pull it back. 9:18 a.m. A notification lights up his attorney's phone. The screen glows. He reads the first line. His jaw tightens. He reads it again. Then he locks the phone without speaking, and the room understands before he says a word. 9:19 a.m. D4vd sees the same alert. His thumb hovers over the screen. He scrolls once. Stops. Scrolls back up. The word indictment sits there, unblinking. He exhales slowly, and doesn't move for several seconds. 9:20 a.m. His manager refreshes the federal docket site. The case number appears. Charges listed line by line. 4 statutes. Multiple counts. The abstract fear from last week becomes structured accusation in real time. 9:23 a.m. Immediate circle first. A family group chat lights up with 7 missed calls in under 2 minutes. A longtime collaborator types, deletes, types again. No one knows what to say. And silence feels dangerous. 9:41 a.m. Social media catches it. The first viral post isn't the charges, it's a screenshot of that single word, indicted. Within 22 minutes, it spreads across platforms like wildfire. Screenshots multiply faster than statements. 14 million views in 36 hours. By noon, headlines crystallize the narrative. Words like federal, multicount, financial network. Public reaction splits instantly, supporters call it premature, critics call it overdue. The courtroom hasn't opened yet, but judgment already has. 3:02 p.m. No public statement. No apology. No denial. Just silence. And that silence becomes louder than any defense. Indicted is official. But conviction is not. The next move, cooperate, fight, or negotiate, will decide everything.